Hola chicos! Hey you guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. If you're new around here, my name is Angela. I'm documenting my journey learning Spanish with Dreaming Spanish. I cannot believe I'm here recording my 600-hour update video. Time flew by. Estoy bien cafeinada, tal vez demasiado, pero estoy emocionada. Tengo mis notas y estoy lista para empezar. Think you can document a minute on your daily input? ¿Qué opinas? If you are new around here, I'll give you a really quick rundown of what Dreaming Spanish is. I recommend you go watch my video for beginners. I think that would be much more helpful for you. Dreaming Spanish is a method of learning Spanish. Simply watch content in Spanish that's enjoyable to you and that is at your level. Your brain just starts to understand it. If you want to learn Spanish, this method will allow you to learn, period. Like no matter who you are. Just trust me on it. Go check it out. Watch my video. 600 hours is kind of a special milestone. Level 5, which says you can understand native speakers speaking to you normally. Move up to advanced level videos. And the roadmap says that you can start speaking if you want to, and also introduce reading. So I have a lot of ground to cover. Let's jump right into it. For the first section of this video, which is going to be like updates at 600 hours, sharing points that might not even relate to each other. The roadmap says level 5, you'll be able to understand native speakers speaking to you normally. I align with the roadmap completely. A little later, I'll share how I met up with a crosstalk friend. We spent the day together and I've never heard him speak English. Everything is just better. I thought I was having fun at 350 hours. Really having fun now. There was a Reddit post. The title was, "Eventually They All Unlock." Really true. Things that you tried to listen to before or things that you wanted to start watching but it was just out of reach, they just start to unlock. This journey has been so rewarding. Everything is better since I last talked to you guys. Right around, I would say 500 hours, I noticed Spanish sentences coming to my mind way more often. Specifically, it would happen when I was texting my friends, speak to me in Spanish, and I usually respond in English. Both sentences that I wanted to say were basically coming to me in Spanish, and I wanted to respond in Spanish. Thing to go along with that, suddenly I didn't have to translate almost any text message that was sent to me. Even if the message was really long, that was such a hard switch because in the beginning, I had to translate almost everything. It could be 4 words and I would translate it. I do think having friends text me in Spanish every day has been such a benefit for me. So I just want to add that in there. We'll touch on it later. A little bit more on like the negative side, you could say. Between 400 and maybe 500 hours, I started facing a beginner slump part 2, except intermediate slump, I guess you could say. I was really trying to balance and figure out what is better. Trying to listen to content that is comprehensible, but you're not interested in it and therefore you're not really focusing on it, or watching content that is interesting to you, but you can tell it's like out of your comprehension range, like it should be a little bit more comprehensible. Really wrestled with this. I would put on a video and then I could tell, literally I would like push play and then immediately start doing something else and not even be watching the video. And it's like, what? I didn't get my focus on it. It lasted, like I said, at least 100 hours, I would say. At 600 hours, I do feel out of that. Content that I want to watch is definitely more comprehensible to me, even some native content. So another strange thing, my ability to zone out, yet still kind of get the gist of what was talked about. Before, if I was zoning out, you almost know right away. It's like very obvious that there's like sounds in your ears, but you're like not getting it at all. Now it's weird. You can zone out for longer before noticing. You know how people love to put on The Office or Friends on Netflix in the background while they're doing other things and they're still kind of like enjoying the show? It's kind of like that, but this isn't really good. I'm not saying it's a good thing. It's just something that I noted. I have talked to you guys before about song comprehension. It's gotten even better. I returned to a Spanish song. Used to listen to it. The song is really special to me, but I didn't know what it was saying. The other day, I listened to it and without even trying, understood every lyric. And pretty sure I shed a tear. We're gonna move on to the next section of this video. Me telling you guys about my first time ever outputting in the wild 2 weekends ago when I went to Chicago. I knew that this weekend was kind of gonna be like a Spanish-filled weekend. I had plans to meet up with one of my crosstalk partners who is from Mexico but visiting Chicago. He doesn't speak English, so I knew that yes, I was gonna have a full day in person with my friend, and he was going to only speak Spanish. I also was at 580 hours, so right before hitting the 600-hour mark. In my mind, I kind of knew, okay, I don't know what's going to happen this weekend, but let's just see. I had plans to meet up with my friend on Saturday, and on Friday night, my mom and I went to a restaurant. It was a Chinese restaurant, but all the waiters didn't speak English. They spoke Spanish. Chicago is full of Spanish speakers. You could move there and never speak English again, literally. We were trying to ask for help from the waiters, but really you order on the iPad, so like the waiters don't really need to be speaking English. And here I am, very nervous, but also like, girl, this is your moment. At one point, I had asked one of the waiters, like, oh, what language do you speak? And he said, Spanish. And I said, oh. And I let him walk away. Actually, I called him over, told him in Spanish that I've been learning Spanish, but only for, I'll say 5 months. We ended up talking the whole time we were at dinner. We talked about so many things. He is from Venezuela. I will remember, of course, it was my first time outputting. This was the first time me producing words that are not my own language. In this whole thing, for me to connect with another person was super, super special to me. My mom was so shocked. She knows I've been like into Spanish, but she's obviously never heard me speak. Before I left, he asked me if I wanted to be language partners, he even invited me to a party the next day. I didn't go, but all because I was able to speak Spanish with him. Spanish high is unbelievable. We go back to our hotel, immediately strike up a conversation. Like this boldness just comes over you. I strike up a conversation with the valet workers who were from Nicaragua, and they were so excited that I said I was learning Spanish, and we start talking so much. Every time I came or left the hotel, we're striking up a conversation. It was the best first experience in the wild. On one hand, I was shocked how many words are there that come to your mind and that you know how to say. I did switch to English a lot, like out of convenience, or I knew what word to say, but I really didn't know which version to say it in. Comprehension-wise, totally fine. The next day, I hung out with my friend pretty much the whole afternoon, and that went really good. He spoke in Spanish the whole time, and I don't think that it affected anything. I really think I was able to understand pretty much anything, and like sometimes you can kind of forget that they're even speaking in Spanish. We did so much. We walked around, we went into shops, we went to dinner, all different scenarios, obviously speaking to each other. And I didn't feel any issues. With my speaking, however, this is when I was like, okay. It was very humbling. Right before, I'm on such a high, you know? But when it came to like being with my friend all day, it was humbling to me. And I won't lie, I came back to my hotel after and I was kind of like, ugh. Just felt like nothing could really flow smoothly. But then, thank God, I read the roadmap, which I hadn't looked at in a long time. It made me feel 100 times better. I'll read you what it says. Conversation can be tiresome. You feel like a child when you're speaking, because it's hard to express abstract concepts, and if you do try to speak, it will feel like you are missing many important words. This is spot on. Like, I could never have put it into better words on how I felt. So that gave me so much peace. I'm right in alignment with what the roadmap says. All is well. Everyone I did speak Spanish with, they all said my Spanish was really good and blah, blah, blah. It's hard not to think that they're lying. Maybe they're not. I mean, like, it's probably good for, like, my level, you know? It's my first time speaking. What can I say? My other experiences outputting have just been in Hello Talk voice rooms. Up to this point, I have only been joining the voice rooms for listening purposes. Now I have decided to join the voice rooms and actually enter the stage area where you actually talk to other people. But something that I really noticed about speaking is my brain is working on complete overdrive. First few nights that I was speaking on the voice rooms, I barely said anything, but that night I feel like I slept so hard. I was so tired. There was a time when I had joined the voice room. They immediately started asking me questions like, how was your day? What are you doing? Blah. I was on like the third question that they were asking me. And I'm thinking, please stop talking to me. It felt like I was working so hard to try to respond to their question. You can understand so much, but you can't respond accordingly. And that causes a lot of frustration, like to yourself. Can say something pretty complex to you. You do understand everything that they just said. And you want to, give your response. And you just like can't because your Spanish speaking is not there yet. So that's definitely something that I faced like hardcore. I feel really good because I'm exactly where the roadmap says I would be. And I think that's all I can really ask for. I want to talk about my speaking plan moving forward. A lot of my decisions right now are directly based off of my experience, trying to output so far, kind of how it went. My plan is to just follow the cadence of the roadmap. I have not had to force anything this entire journey of learning Spanish with Dreaming Spanish. I really don't want to start forcing things now. For me, scheduling like an italki session, it just feels like I would have to be forcing a little bit too much. Trying to think of words that just simply aren't there. These connecting words and things like that. And so at least I'm going to say next 100 hours. I don't plan on scheduling an italki session with a tutor or anything like that to practice outputting my Spanish. What I will be doing is casually outputting with my friends. When Spanish comes to my mind or Spanish sentences come to my mind, I will speak in Spanish. Joining the Hello Talk voice rooms on a pretty regular basis. It seems like a very low pressure environment. If something goes wrong, you can just leave. Like leave the room, Continuing to speak, even like to myself in Spanish, I've found lately more sentences are coming up. I realized that I speak to my cat often. When I notice that I say something to my cat, I'm like, okay, how would I say that in Spanish? And I try to speak to my cat in Spanish. In here, something that I am extremely grateful for and really benefiting me right now is the fact that I made the effort to find crosstalk partners starting at 300 hours. I have them to try to output with. And it's not like this pressured situation of like, I have to find someone that can let me speak Spanish and then you're already nervous because your first time speaking. It's not like that at all. And I have been so grateful for that. Having a call just like normal, just to catch up on our week or whatever it is. And output a little bit of Spanish here if I want to. Not a big deal at all. For the past, 300 hours on a daily basis, seeing text messages in Spanish, I have to believe that has really helped me as well. Speaking of my crosstalk friends, I literally just had to ignore a call as I'm recording. Realize how much Spanish you're actually getting from the text messages, the voice messages, the calls just to catch up on your day. In crosstalk yet, if you haven't kind of dipped your toes into that water, 10 out of 10 recommend. I have found it really beneficial to have multiple friends or multiple crosstalk partners that you touch base with on the regular, because you'll notice day in and day out, people talk differently. We use different phrases, we use different styles of speaking, we greet a certain way, we say certain words, and having multiple partners has really helped me learn these things, and I can tell really like solidified in my mind even more than watching a video or listening to podcasts, things like that. I would love to really immerse myself in the language even more. When I hung out with my friend in Chicago, I was wishing so much that we lived closer. Not only because it's my friend and I was having so much fun with him, also I could tell like, wow, if this was a regular thing of us hanging out, both of our language learning would just be like skyrocketed. In the next, I would say 300 hours or so, I do want to maybe look into joining some speaking groups in my city. I did find one, casual weekly meetup where you speak English and Spanish. I'm a little nervous to try that right now, but I think that would be really fun. Something like that, I can just add it into my routine. Okay, we're almost done. The last section that I want to touch on is certain thoughts that I have about where I'm at right now. Something in me just knows that easier content is so much better. Since I started outputting, I can really tell when I'm watching easier content, just picking up every little word, every little thing translates almost immediately to being able to output it. I don't know why there's something in us that just thinks like, I need to get to harder content because then I'm improving. Like, no. If I could go back to me at lower hours, watch the easier content. If you can get yourself to focus on it, watch it. It really benefits you so much. There are things that I start watching now that I'm like, Angela, what the heck were you doing 300 hours ago watching this? Like, what? Why were you doing that? For what? For what? There's something else that I have noticed regarding the immediate connection between what you're inputting and therefore what you are outputting. You ever been around like a friend for a really long time, or maybe a group of people, and then you notice you start to speak just like them, or you start to use phrases that they use? This is exactly what's happening to me. This has affected a few things. Let's talk about it. Accents. What accents are we listening to? Also, different phrases and sayings that might be used in one region that I never want to be using. And I don't want to have to like filter out, oh, like they just said that, but like I won't be using that word because they don't use that over here. It's just like too much. There's another factor here. That's swearing. I'm not someone that plans on swearing, but obviously it's not like I don't want to learn the swear words. So learn the swear words already. There are people that I like to listen to, podcasts and things, but I've noticed that they swear a lot. Like if you're swearing every sentence and then I'm listening to you for hours and hours, later sentences come to my mind and they are including a swear word. It's just an observation that I have had. Directly what I'm inputting is what I'm then outputting. And this goes for anything if you really think about it. And this is actually the entire basis of our language learning journey if you're here and you use Dreaming Spanish. So I don't know. That's just an observation. I don't know. That's all I have to say about that. Last but not least, reading. You guys, I thought I would be like all gung-ho to start reading, but then I realized I'm not really a reader. I'm already doing 5 hours of input. I think it's going to be a little bit harder than I thought to kind of incorporate this into my routine. Do you have any tips? The other day I was like, dang, where do we even start? Like, what are we reading, you guys? For those reading, what are you reading? How are you reading? I have a Kindle. Man, I got to find stuff that is comprehensible enough, but also interesting enough, and just get into a routine of reading, I don't know, a few pages a night or something like that. Anything is better than nothing. And so that's what I have to say about that. I'll update you guys later on how my reading is going. Guys, I think that's it. I want to mention that all my favorite content right now is going to be linked in the description. I think I'll start doing this for every video. Whatever content I'm most enjoying right now, I will put down below. Especially if you are a Christian, I have a boatload of content for you. I've started to be able to listen to sermons and things like that, which has just been such a blessing. It's been amazing. And you guys, I have to tell you, I have a trip booked to Mexico for next year. And I just realized the other day, because I did the math, I will be reaching 1,500 hours when I'm in Mexico. That is if I continue with my daily goal, which is not an easy feat, but definitely giving me the motivation to continue pushing. Get a 1,500 hour update for me in Mexico. Also, I want to mention that sometimes I upload shorts that are not a part of a full-length video. So if you have missed any of my shorts, make sure to go check them out. And I don't know if my next video will be at 1,000 hours, probably. Thank you so much for being here. But yeah, I'll see you then. Bye.